My shop just went from this to this, and I'm actually really excited about it because people getting into woodworking want to know, what tools do they really need? How do you build a workbench without already having a bench? Basically, how to legit start from scratch. So instead of standing here and saying what tools a beginner should get, while I go on making projects using thousands of dollars worth of equipment, how about I actually do it? I'm gonna start with a very basic tool set, start rocking and rolling, getting to work, setting up shop, and making awesome projects. For this to work, there's one thing I gotta avoid, and that's tools that are one-trick ponies. I need versatility. This is gonna consolidate the tools I need for a small shop. We're gonna start with marking and measuring tools. The most basic marking and measuring tools are a pencil and a marking knife. Both are used all the time in woodworking. Pencils mark distance, same with a marking knife. Marking knives give you really accurate results when you cut right to that line. Of course, we're also gonna need some tape measures. I like these smaller tape measures better for workbench type of work. This one's cool, it's a Stanley one. I don't know if it's still sold, but these keychain ones work really well as well. And then we've got a marking gauge. This has one pin on this side and a double pin on the other side. That double pin is adjustable, so it's a combination gauge. You basically can move this thing around, set it, mark a line. I use it all the time in woodworking, marking for joinery, cutting a board to width, that kind of thing. And these, the double pin, that part is for marking out mortises. For the square, I'm going with a combination square. This is a Starrett, very nice, pretty expensive combination square. These things are keying on versatility because not only can you mark a square line with the marking knife or pencil, but you can also, if you have a board that's too wide for your marking gauge, instead of getting a panel gauge, just another tool, you could use your combination square, mark 2 points on that board, then you've got basically the width you want to cut that board to. You could also use it to check for depth, bunch of other things. Combination square, awesome. Fair warning, most combination squares that you get at a big box store are not going to be very accurate. Here's a quick check that you could do even in the store to see if the combination square is accurate. You just put this thing up to a square edge, like a machined edge on a piece of plywood, mark a line, flip the square over, mark a line again, and see if those two lines are exactly parallel. If they're parallel, your square is square. Or of course, you could just use one of these machinist squares, which I recommend getting anyway. They're very inexpensive and very accurate, and check the accuracy with that. To do woodworking, you kind of got to be able to cut wood, right? So I'm going to be using 3 different saws, and they're actually all going to be hand saws. I've got a 22-inch long panel saw. This one's 10 points per inch, so there's 10 saw teeth in every inch. This one's going to be for cross cutting. I've got another one that looks very similar, 22 inches long. It's a 5.5 points per inch, 5.5 teeth per inch, so a little bit heavier duty. This one is a rip saw, using that for cutting down the grain. And for cutting joinery and fine cuts, stuff like that, a back saw. This one is a crown 10-inch gent saw. It's a back saw, so it's stiff. Good for cutting really fine, accurate joints. Mortise and tenons, dovetails, stuff like that. For the bench planes, I'm actually going to be using 4 bench planes. A scrub plane, which is useful for working on rough material, rough wood, stuff like that, or knocking stuff down really quickly. It's a heavy cut scrub plane. Not a fine cut, but it does work quickly. Also going to be using a jack plane. This one's a number 5. It's a great plane all around. I used it in between the scrub plane and the jointer plane. Jointer plane, this is a number 7 jointer plane. Use it for flattening boards, basically. You know, it's a good solid plane. And the last bench plane I'm going to be using is this block plane. I use it for trimming stuff up, protruding joints, protruding mortise and tenons off of mortises, dovetails. I trim end grain with it. I use it a lot more than I used to. I like the block plane a lot. So I also want to point out that I'm not going for like the cheapest tool set or even the minimal or fewest tools I could get away with. Like I could get away with using a single hand plane instead of 4, but that would make me feel hamstrung. I do want as few tools as I can, limiting the space requirements, but I also want a super effective and efficient setup. I'll be using 3 joinery planes. The first one is the router plane, no surprise to any hand tool users. This is a super versatile awesome tool. I use it all the time for all sorts of joinery. Trimming up some sort of half-lap dovetail joint, getting super clean and crisp dados for this set of shelves, and even sliding this beautiful hunk of sharpened steel across this cherry tenon to get that tenon to fit perfectly inside the mortise. One tool, the router plane, 600 different jobs. The next one is a rabbet plane, good plane for cutting rabbets. And the third joinery plane is a plow plane. This one is for doing grooves. This was the name of the game before power routers were making stop grooves left and right. Now I guess 2 and 3, the rabbet plane and plow plane, could be considered one-trick ponies. But hey, some ponies are worth it. Just look at this clean groove, no sawdust, and a blade that can be resharpened in 20 seconds. Be using 3 chisels. That's a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1 inch bench chisel. These are beveled edge chisels. That means the edges are beveled on them, so you can get them into tight corners for dovetails and stuff like that. These are the 3 I use the most. I like these chisels. I'm definitely going heavy on the hand tools, but that's because you would need a 2,000 square foot shop just to do all the stuff that you can do with just a couple of chisels. You could also get a 5-setted chisels and just cover all your bases. Narex are generally a killer value, but honestly what really makes a good chisel isn't the brand, it's whether or not it's been sharpened. Which leads me to the sharpening stones. I'm going to be using a medium India stone and a translucent Arkansas stone. These are going to be my sharpening stones. Also going to get some green honing compound, which I can't find it right now. It's in one of these boxes, but that's how I finish my sharpening off. Of course, we're going to need a mallet. This is for assembling projects, hitting chisels, stuff like that, and a hammer for driving nails. For shaping wood, I'll be using a coping saw, which I'll also use to cut out dovetail waste, and a bow saw. Of course, if I was going for a minimalist tool set, I'd skip the bow saw, only use the coping saw, but making a big cut like this one with just a coping saw sounds like hand cramps, and I like to enjoy woodworking, not torture myself just because I can. Also with the shaping, spoke shave. These are good for refining the cuts after you shape it with a coping saw or bow saw. Spoke shave. The other tools I'll be using that I can't quite find right now is a square awl, dividers that I use for marking out dovetails, my cordless drills, and probably my brad nailer. I'm probably going to be in this space for about a year, and my goal is to only use those tools that I just showed you, like exclusively, and unless I'm having a major brain fart, which is always likely, then I think it should work out. Oh, and clamps. I love this sort of challenge. It kind of feels like a game to me, which is also why I love Brilliant.org. With their online learning platform, it's just a fun way to challenge yourself, grow, and to achieve your goals. They are the sponsor of today's video, and here's some footage showing kind of the progressive nature of it. How it kind of is sort of like a video game kind of feel. It gives you a bit of that rewarding feeling, kind of working through it. It's just fun to do. It's a fun way to learn. One of my favorites is the Thinking in Code course, where you learn to design simple programs that solve real-world problems right away. Like, how about writing a program that will automatically respond to work messages? I've really enjoyed having them as a sponsor of the last couple of videos. It's been a cool run. Go check it out. You have absolutely nothing to lose. You get a free 30-day trial if you use my discount code, brilliant.org/FranksWorkbench. And if you like it, then you get 20% off the annual premium subscription. The 30-day free trial is for everyone, but the 20% off is only for the first 200 people to sign up using my link. Help support the channel. Go check out their website, see if it's for you. All right, well now I need to go make something to work on. See y'all on the next one.